Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with the story of a crazy woman who, not having received funding, decided that the best solution would be to bite an employee's hand. Literally. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Lady doesn't get financed, bites manager's hand. On a Saturday 2 months ago, there was a lady with her grandson looking at a car and trade in her old car. So far normal. One of the salesmen is helping her, walking around the lot and finding what fits best for her. They find the vehicle that works for her, walk inside to fill out the paperwork. Again, normal. With the paperwork filled out, they walk over to finance. Everything so far is going smoothly. As they're waiting for the sales manager to come over and talk to her, they go over to the car she picked out and get it set up for her. The finance manager goes over to the sales manager and hands him the deal bag. The sales manager looks it over. The finance company she was planning on using calls us and tells us they cannot finance her. Our sales manager walks out to the pad and tells her this. Apparently, she starts yelling, cursing, and telling the sales manager he's an effing idiot. He reaches into the car and takes the keys out of the ignition. Once he had the keys in his hand and is bringing them out of the car, the lady bites his hand. The salesman immediately calls the cops. While waiting for the cops, she complains that her car is no longer on the lot. Well, it's already on the lift being inspected. Saturdays, for some reason, are a little slow for our service side of the dealership. While she waits for the car to be taken down from the lift so she can get her keys and go, the cops show up. The cops wrote up a police report and asked if he's pressing charges. Our sales manager, being the guy he is, said no, since she had a little kid. The cops give her a warning, let her go, and hand over the police report to our sales manager just in case he wants to sue for his medical bill. The cops leave, and our manager drives himself to the ER. Fast forward to Monday of this week, our office manager calls to find out why the dealership is paying a $1,000 ER bill. Office managers for us are in a different location since we have a few different dealerships connected to us. Now he has a scar. And now our second story. If I don't give someone cash, I'm a terrible person apparently. Just moved to the U.S. I'm American, but have been working overseas for the past few years. Landlord left it a effing mess, so I'm cleaning up literal garbage outside, and a neighbor kid notices me. Says she's homeless and pregnant and wants to help in order to make some money. I was also homeless as a teenager, so I'm super empathetic to her situation and tell her that I'll buy her lunch if she just helps me put the rest of the debris into a garbage bag. The job takes about 10 minutes tops, with the two of us working together. I drive her to Burger King and let her order whatever she wants, and I pay with a card. She just gets some chicken nuggets and nothing else. I also buy a small bag of food for her dog. I drop her off, thank her for her help, and tell her I'll happily buy her lunch again or buy clean clothes or things like that in the future if I need more help. Not even a minute after I get home, her boyfriend is pounding on my front door, demanding to know why I didn't pay her, and saying, do I know she's pregnant and what a monster I am for taking advantage of her? She's in tears, crying about how she needs me to help her. I'm totally speechless. I've literally just met these two people, and now it's somehow my responsibility to take care of them? I explained that I explicitly said I could offer her lunch in exchange for helping me, and I apologized for the misunderstanding. And also explained that I don't even have any cash to give. I just moved to the US and don't have any American currency. I told them that I literally only have a single dollar. I was homeless myself. I know how hard it is. I know how important money is. But I would never have demanded anything from anybody, and food was just as valuable to me. And just as I'm typing this, I get another knock on the door. You still have that dollar? Edit. They just came knocking for a third time, asking if I've never heard of an ATM. This makes me never want to do something nice for someone again. Update. So they came to my door a total of 6 times yesterday, always asking for different things. I admit I gave them a roll of toilet paper because I'm a sucker who falls for every sob story I hear, but I gave nothing else. Today, somebody came and took the girl away, a relative of hers, I think. Around noon today, I heard lots of shouting, so I peeked through the crack in my curtains and saw 5 people across the street, the 2 teens, the boy's mom, and 2 other adults I've never seen before, a man and a woman. I could hear the mom shouting, "Knocking on my door every hour," and "Get off my property." I could also see the man and woman physically pushing the girl and shouting, "Let's go, get in the car." The boyfriend was the man of the hour and tucked his tail between his legs the entire time and didn't stick up for his girlfriend at all. He was totally silent and passive the entire time. As the arguing gets more heated, I finally get the sense to start recording on my phone and rush back to the window. Shortly after, the girl comes across the street and starts knocking on my door. I don't answer. I couldn't quite make it out, but I heard one of the adults shout something like, "Oh, now she's going to the neighbor's house." And the man chased after her while still shouting, "Let's go." I didn't want to be seen, so I stopped peeking out the window for a second, and when I looked back, they were across the street again, and I could hear car doors closing. A car drove away, and the kicker? The boyfriend cheerily shouted, "Bye, babe," from his mom's yard as if he was dropping her off at the airport, not watching her get forcibly driven away by what I assume are relatives of hers. My guess is that the boyfriend's mom got fed up with the girl sleeping in the driveway and asking for stuff and called the girl's relatives to get her off the property or else. Hopefully, this is the end of the whole ordeal. I hope she gets herself the help she needs and finds a job to start supporting herself and live a better life. Update 2. The conclusion, I hope, with names changed. Just before 1 a.m., as I'm trying to sleep, especially since I have to wake up at 6 a.m. for work every day, I hear the same pounding on my front door. So this time, I finally called the non-emergency number for the local police and told them someone's been banging on my door and gave my address, name, and number. After I ignored the knocking and while waiting for the police to arrive, the familiar shouting and arguing from across the street resumes. It's the mom and the 2 teens going at it. They carry on until 3 a.m., and that's when I can't stay awake any longer and fall asleep. The cops never came. So the next morning, I go out to run errands and pick up an indoor security camera I can point out my front window next to the door. As I'm leaving, the girl asked to borrow my phone to call her boyfriend. He's literally inside the house across the street. I ask why she can't just knock on the door like a normal person, and she says that the mother filed a restraining order against her and she'll be arrested if she goes on the property again. Oh, that explains all the shouting last night, early this morning. When I come home, the situation's even worse. They've set up sleeping bags on my front porch, and my front yard is now littered with their garbage. I'm pissed. I tell them they need to find another place to be. Then I hear it again, the knocking. I huff my way to the door and open it, and it was the police. At first I'm thinking, man, they took their sweet time, but to my surprise, he asks if my name is Susan and says that someone named Susan called 911. I say no, but Susan's my landlord's name. I ask if this isn't about the call they received at 1 a.m., and he says this call just came in now. He tells me that Susan called to report a tenant issue. I'm panicking, wondering if my landlord's blaming me for all this, and I get my phone and put the landlord on a speakerphone to talk with the sheriff. To my tremendous relief, the landlord says a neighbor noticed I wasn't home earlier and saw that the 2 had made themselves very comfortable on my front porch, so the neighbor called my landlord, and the landlord called 911 to have them removed. The sheriff then went to talk to the teens, and the mom came out of her house and joined the discussion. I could hear her shouting things like, "I wasn't the one who called the cops," and "Give me back my son's clothes so I can wash them." Priorities, right? The sheriff said if they ever set foot on my yard again, they'll be arrested for trespassing, and he was confident that should scare them into never coming back. I looked outside again and can't see them anymore. I hope this is actually the end of everything. And all this because I thought I was being nice by buying someone lunch. I like to help homeless people when I can because I was in that situation myself, but I guess I'm just shocked because when I was in her situation, I would have just said thank you until they got tired of hearing it and never asked for anything else. It's so terrible that people like that give such a bad reputation to everyone else. And our last story. Man defeats HOA that he's not even a member of. This story was shared with me years ago by a late family friend. He was an avid ham radio operator and had numerous antennas scattered around both his front and backyards. His subdivision was older construction and did not have an HOA, so there were no issues with this. However, his lot backed up to another subdivision that was newer and did have an HOA. You can probably see where this is going. One day, he gets a knock on his door from one of these Karen types. She'd just bought the house behind him, and needless to say, she was not a fan of all his antennas. She starts rattling off all these supposed HOA rules he's violating, along with the typical, "They're a safety hazard, eyesore, lowering my property value, hurting my feelings," etc. arguments. He tried to politely explain that his house was in a different subdivision and was not part of their HOA, but she was having none of it. After a few weeks and a few more interactions that went just like the first one, he got a threatening form letter in the mail from the HOA's law firm. Coincidentally, his lawyer was a partner in that same firm. One phone call got that line of communication shut down instantly. With that defeat, Karen finally gave up and was able to go back to living in peace. Karen moved about a year later. How TF are you going to buy a house, then complain that the antenna were driving down property values? Hey guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.